Good afternoon. Welcome. If you ever pop into one of these live hours, please don't ever hesitate to hop in the chat, say hello, ask a question. It helps me. Today I have a spiky ball. But I'm gonna hold. And I'm gonna squeeze it a little bit. Be nice to yourself. But challenge. Just a little. Hold it there. Breathe up through the body, out from the center. But hold it here. Hold that intention, hold that focus, that willingness to stay with it. And that's one way that you can practice this kind of an idea. This would be another. To just hold. Keep it comfortable, but hold. Breathe. Find yes. Find no. Find whatever freedom of movement you need. But hold. And we can make all kinds of shapes. Little archer. Play with it. Find something that can be sustainable. You can do whatever you want. Do it in both directions. Find all of the freedom that you need. In order for that hold to be safe and comfortable and sustainable. With enough challenge that you're aware of it. And that you have to stay aware of it. So that we're exercising that focus and intention and willingness and executive function. It feels good. I made a video like a year ago. I don't have any idea how long ago. Zooming in. I made 2 videos zooming in on this process. Since it's on the board, let's look at it again. This is the RAIN acronym. When something's happening in our awareness, the first step is to recognize that it is happening. That takes practice. Once we're able to recognize the happenings in real time, the moment that we achieve recognition, the next step becomes to allow it, to accept it, to recognize that this feeling exists. This sensation, this experience that I'm having exists in my body, in my awareness. And in that particular moment of recognition, that is the only thing that we can truly do about it, is to allow it to exist. Now, that takes practice, but it creates this oscillation between homeostasis, activation, and then resolution once we get back down to acceptance. So it looks like a wave because it's energy in the body, and everything is energy, and energy moves in waves. And the sensations that come through the bodily mechanism happen in waves. And if we decline to allow that wave to move through, if we resist it, repress it, deny it, ignore it, project it, if we do not allow it to exist, our body will hold on to it for us until we're ready to do that. And that accumulates over time and genetics, which is why allowance and acceptance are so important. After we get to the other side of that wave, now we're back into equilibrium. Now we're back into homeostasis. Now we're back into the kind of functioning that gives us access to our clarity, our discernment, our curiosity, and it allows us to make inquiries into the experience that we just had. Like, what just happened in there? What do I call that? Fear, usually. Certainly not exclusively. But fear is a primal survival activation. But it could be anything. Watch Inside Out. And when that activation happens, it bubbles into our consciousness as a story called fear. This is what I'm afraid of right now. A story of anger, a story of grief, any number of things. And it gets attached with that story, and it forms a feedback loop in the body. And that feedback loop creates an energetic imprint in the pathways of information as they move through the body. And I like the visual of being like in a helicopter looking down at a city and looking at all of the traffic patterns and all of the vehicles that drive around all day, all night, every day, these circuits that vary constantly, but also there are patterns that emerge over time. And those patterns that emerge over time become energetically imprinted in the mechanism, and they influence our experience. So when we notice an imprint pattern, when we notice a repetitive story, when we notice a repetitive experience, from a place of safety and clarity, we can make intelligent inquiry into the nature of those patterns. And we can ask ourselves and ask our body and ask your sources of guidance, what does this need? What is this telling me? What is this asking me for? How can I respond intelligently to this very real experience that's happening? And then we make intentional choices to nourish that need. And sometimes that means getting a good meal and literally nourishing the body. Sometimes it means a good night's sleep, hot bath, some sort of connective activity with trusted loved ones, perhaps. What do you need? This is another one of my weights. This is a 5-pound round. I think I've probably had it on here before. But I'm just gonna hold it. I'm just gonna hold it, and I'm going to allow the energy of my body's response to gravity move freely in this arm while I hold it. So I'm going to spend plenty of time just getting comfortable with the position of holding it. And I'm going to find all of those movements, and I'm going to make some intelligent and compassionate decisions about how hard I want to work for this. So I'm not holding my arm way out here and I'm going to try to hold it there for any extended period of time. Not for the purposes of this demonstration. I'm going to give my arm and my shoulder and my neck and my spine and my center of gravity however much freedom that it wants. And then I'm going to find a position that is actively held away from my body. And I'm going to put my intention and my will, aiminess, on just holding that. And I'm going to notice what strategies start to emerge, what patterning starts to emerge as I hold this, as I focus. Hey, Heather. As I focus my energy down this arm, I'm holding a 5-pound weight, and I'm just holding it there. And I'm going to breathe up from the ground and feel the breath in the body space all the way up from the ground and out from the center. And I'm going to continue to just hold this in a position that feels safe and comfortable and sustainable. And what starts to happen is that I start to notice that there's some fatigue building. And my body is offering energy to meet that fatigue. So I feel my heart rate increase just a little bit. I'm feeling some heat start to emerge in that shoulder that's working. And so I'm going to keep breathing up from the ground and out from the center. And I'm going to invite that accumulation of energy that's happening in my body to dissolve into the space of my breath. Breathe all the way out. Breathe all the way in and feel the fullness of it before you release it all the way down. And let's release it all the way down. And I just imagine all of that excess activation that I was feeling dissolved into my breath and went back into the ground on my exhale. Now this arm gets to rest, and we're going to do it on the other side. So I'm going to take my time again to allow my body to respond intelligently to the input of gravity. And I'm going to feel the energy come into my arm in response to gravity. And I'm going to give that energy all of the freedom that it wants to move through my arm and my shoulder. I'm giving the rest of my body all of the freedom it wants. I'm going to keep my yes and my no easily available. And I'm not going to work too hard for this. Let the body breathe. Listen to my voice. There's no strain here. There is effort, and there is focus, and there is intention, but there's no strain here. This is an exercise in executive function, an exercise in focus capacity, an exercise in endurance. It's an exercise in willingness to stay with something because you choose to. Kind of feel it wrapping all the way through now. It's very pleasant when it does that. And then we release, and we rest, and we play. We don't take ourselves too seriously with any of this. But keep breathing. And if you find something that you want to hold on to it. If it feels good to hold on to it, hold it long enough to form an opinion about it. Form an opinion about how can I hold this? How do I want to hold this? Does it still feel good now that I've been holding it this long? Or is it time to let go? But when we intentionally give ourselves the opportunity to feel uncomfortable, then that gives us opportunity to practice recognizing what these feelings actually are trying to tell us when they arise in the mechanism. If I'm uncomfortable for a reason that has something to do with my safety and survival, then I want to know about it. I want to know what's happening in my environment. Why is my body giving me this information? If I am trusting that the body mechanism is wise and that the information is useful, then my ability and my willingness to receive the discomfort of an activation and respond intelligently, that means we've got a teammate. Because we're getting information, we're getting valuable data from the body mechanism about the three-dimensional experience that we're having. And we're building relationship with the way that energy shows up in the body. That there can be one of those waves come through, and I can say to myself, that was anger, that was fear, that was joy, that was excitement. What is it other than uncomfortable? Because maybe we're not used to it, or maybe it's really intense, or maybe it got stuck to a story that we don't like very much somewhere along the way. Sometimes that's uncomfortable when you notice that you're holding something like that. Make intelligent decisions from a place of clarity about how you want to keep holding that. We have the technology to do that. And that's the RAIN acronym. How are we doing out there? I'm excited that you're here. So our themes of the day that I put in the title description. What did I put in the title description? Willingness and isometric holds. Yay! Isometric holds. And isometric just means that the muscles around the movement stay still. So we pick something and we hold it. And then we do whatever else we want. And we stay connected with our willingness and our intention and our agency in the relationship that we're having with our body in real time. In real time. Yes, oh my goodness. So for driving, you have to have this movement easily available, like all the time, right? How much challenge is there? How much resistance is there trying to look over a shoulder like that, especially if your arm is here on the wheel? And so staying in your bones and just reinforcing this movement in a variety of activities, just all the time. All the time, we're just saying no or yes, but we're keeping those primordial movements near the surface of these other tasks. Anytime you're holding a yoga pose, you can release your neck in that way, just to reinforce to the nervous system that we can do that anytime, easily. I love exercising outside. Getting that sunlight, I'll just feel like I'm charging like a battery. I'm excited for you. All right, let me show you what else was on my little board here, and then I think we'll probably wrap up. So here's the wave. Here's the wave. We get activated, something in the environment, something in the bodily sensations, the internal landscape, our proprioception. We ate a really big meal, or something's happening environmentally, or something's happening psychologically, emotionally, that counts, because it can absolutely activate energy in the body that will then move through like a wave. It will build, it will crest, and then it will dissipate. What goes up will come down. Now then, if we resist that wave, if we repress it, if we argue with it, if we deny it, and that wave doesn't actually move through its natural shape, our body's holding that activation energy until we are ready to give it permission to move. The way that we give it permission to move is we put a container around it. And in this particular conversation, the container is the held movement. It is the isometric hold, whatever you are deciding to hold. It can even just be holding your empty arm out. It can be holding your heels just a millimeter off of the ground so that you have access to your ankles. And just holding that. It can be holding a position. It can be holding a weight. I'll do a longer movement demonstration at some point with this theme. But that is the container, because it's going to contain your awareness into a particular task. We ground the movement, meaning you stay connected with your feet and you stay connected with your center of gravity, and you know which way is down in your nervous system. And that takes practice. And then while you're doing those things, you keep breathing. And that's going to create space for the wave to move through that container. And once we get to the other side, that's where clarity is. That's where we can do that intelligent self-inquiry and get all kinds of helpful information from our body mechanism. The hard part is that we have to keep doing it. And doing it, and doing it, and doing it, and doing it. Because there's always another wave coming. There's always another inhale after the exhale. That's how oscillations and rhythm and frequency and vibration work, is they work with this pendulum swing between two polarities. So we can use that to anchor our work. And it works. And it feels good. You have any questions before I'm going to probably wrap this up? Thank you so much for dropping in. I really appreciate your presence. All right. Well, I will look forward to them. Thank you. You too. All righty. Gratitude for all the things. Keep doing the good work. And have a great week. Bye-bye.